Hey guys, and welcome back to the NPA for the game of the week for week number 12. Yeah, it's already week number 12, the week before the final week of the season. And we have a matchup between Kres and Kobain. Kres and the Adelaide Umbreons are 5-5, and Kres Kobain and the Baltimore Blazikens are 9-1. Taking a look at the teams, obviously, Kres will be on the bottom of your screen. She has Rotom Fan, Crocodile, Reuniclus, Politoed, Scizor, and Salamence, leaving her Mega Gardevoir, Ambipom, Granbull, Torkoal, and Ludicolo on the bench. While Kres at the top of your screen has Garchomp, Jirachi, Slowking, Gyarados, Drapion, and Mega Diancie, with Gligar, Regular Rotom, Celebi, Virizion, and Exploud on the bench. So before we get into this matchup, we have confirmed all of the items on the Pokemon, so that'll be awesome to have. And with that being said, let's jump right into it. Obviously, Kres will be on the bottom of your screen, Kres at the top right, as Kres Kobain issues a challenge. Not a fan. The Rotom Fan comes out. If only it had an air balloon, it would be the best set ever. But instead, it'll be against the Mega Diancie. So Diancie has to Mega Evolve on the first turn of the match. And in will be coming... well, it's going to go for a Protect on the first turn, get those speed up, drop the defenses, but get the power to it, as Not a Fan goes for the Volt Switch. So instead of going for anything more, Not a Fan is going to switch out, probably not wanting to give away what type of item is on the Rotom, as in comes Roger, the Politoed with the Drizzle. So, with that being said, Diancie's going to go for the Moonblast onto Politoed, and that is going to do a tremendous amount, just under 50%, and it'll drop the special attack of the Politoed, which is crucial in this rain. The leftovers recovery starts, another Moonblast comes out from the Mega Diancie, and that is going to take Roger down to 7 HP. A Scald comes out from the Politoed, and it's very possible that that special attack drop saved the Mega Diancie from fainting from that Scald in the rain. But Roger's going to switch out for a later day, come back on a rainy day, as in comes Guillotine, the Scizor. And Moonblast is going to come out from the Diancie onto the Scizor. It's not going to do too much. I mean, that actually did kind of a lot. It did about 30%, as the Diancie's going to switch out, doesn't want to go down just yet. So in comes Leviathan, the regular Gyarados, the shiny regular Gyarados. Intimidate comes out. And Scizor is going to go for a U-turn. Remember, this is -1. That's a lot of damage for a -1 U-turn. I believe that the Scizor is choice banded. So, with that being said, in comes Not a Fan once more. And obviously Gyarados is not going to want to stay in, as it's going to have to deal with an electric type attack from this Rotom, which will absolutely knock it out, minus it having a berry to weaken that damage. So out goes the Gyarados after its leftovers, and in comes MC Hammer, the Garchomp. But Kres predicts it beautifully, and in comes a Will-O-Wisp, which does connect on the Garchomp. Garchomp is going to take its damage, and out goes the Not a Fan. So, well, let's burn onto the Garchomp, and that's always a good thing to have. So in comes Roger once more, and Roger is going to set back up the rain, as the Garchomp is going to go for Stealth Rocks. So just a simple move by the Garchomp, setting up the rocks, and Politoed is going to get its leftovers recovery back a little bit to get it back up to about 31 HP, as the Garchomp takes its damage from the burn. Garchomp is naturally faster. It goes for the Earthquake. It is Stab. Doesn't matter so much that it's burned, as that will take out Politoed with that little health. Plus, we find out that the Garchomp is Life Orbed. So that's a pretty good piece of information for Kres to have, as Garchomp is about down to 50%. In comes Mama Krook, the Crocodile. Takes some Stealth Rock damage, gets its Intimidate up, so now this Garchomp is at -1 and burned, and it's going to go for the Knockoff. The Knockoff is going to do a ton of damage to the Garchomp, but Rough Skin will knock it down a little bit, knocks off the Life Orb, and Garchomp goes for the Draco Meteor. So obviously that all the burn and the -1 does nothing to a Draco Meteor, as that will take down Mama Krook into the yellow, and that will be the end of Garchomp. So pretty good battle thus far. It seems that it's pretty much even, as Get Over Here, the Drapion switches in. So it is a 5v5 battle right now. Only the Politoed and the Garchomp are down, and in comes Draco, the Salamence. So Salamence goes for the Intimidate, or well, has the Intimidate, and Aqua Tail comes out from the Drapion. We don't find out its item right now, as it's going to switch out. Obviously it's not Life Orbed. It could be Banded, but I doubt it based on that damage output. Maybe Specs? Who knows? But in comes Headache, the Slowking, and Draco goes for the Crunch on the prediction, and the Cobra Berry activates for the Slowking, as that's going to do a lot of damage with the crit and get the defense drop. So Slowking is going to want to get right on out of here, as that Cobra Berry helped a bit, but not enough. So we find out Salamence is Life Orbed, the rain stops, and Slowking will switch on out as it gets its Regenerator boost back up. In comes Leviathan to get an Intimidate off against the Salamence. And the Salamence is going to go for a Crunch once more. This Crunch to the Gyarados will do a decent amount of damage, does about 25%, maybe a little bit more, as Gyarados gets its leftover recoveries. And instead of just staying in and sacking off the Salamence, Draco is going to switch out for another day. Live on to fight another day. So in comes Guillotine, back out, no longer intimidated. It'll take some Stealth Rock damage because of its bug typing. And out comes an Ice Fang, which will do about 18 damage. And that really isn't going to do too much to the Scizor. And now the Gyarados is looking a little bit afraid. He's going to go for the Bounce, though. It does outspeed the Scizor, and it's going to go skying up. And instead of staying in and just taking a Bounce, this Scizor is going to switch right back out. It's going for a U-turn to try to get some switch initiative, but it didn't pay off. So in comes Not a Fan to absorb a Bounce, or whatever will happen after that Bounce, as the Leviathan actually misses, which is kind of bad luck. 90, I believe it's 85 or 90 accuracy for Bounce, as that's going to switch out. Not something you see too often in competitive battling, but it was a cool little tech. So in comes Make-A-Wish, as Rotom will go for a Volt Switch once more. It's going to do about 25% to the Jirachi, as the Rotom will switch out once again. So in comes Crocodile to deal with the Jirachi, and it seems like if this thing is switching in, that it is Choice Scarf, as the Intimidate does come out. So with that knowledge in mind, and finding out that the Jirachi is leftovers, and not something other than that, the Jirachi is going to switch right on out. So there are no hazards set up so far by Kres, as in comes the Gyarados once more, as it is going to get the Intimidate off against the Crocodile, and it is going to absorb a Knockoff. Knockoff is going to do a good amount of damage, knocks off the leftovers, but Crocodile is going to switch out once more. So a lot of switching, a lot of back and forth pivoting by these two players. In comes Reuniclus, which we notice immediately is not Magic Guard, it is most likely Regenerator, as the Ice Fang comes out into the Reuniclus, and it doesn't do too much as Leftovers activates. So obviously if it was Magic Guard it wouldn't take Stealth Rock's damage, but it is not. So out goes the Leviathan once more, and in comes the Drapion to deal with the Reuniclus. That Poison Dark typing will negate any Psychic type attacks from the Reuniclus, but instead Kres goes for the Infestation. A safe-ish play, trying to lock something in if that is so much what he wants to do. But Kres, with a good play, that does some damage to the Drapion, but obviously not going to stay in, especially because Drapion is capable of sweeping teams. It's a very common Sword Stance user. As the Salamence comes back out, takes the Stealth Rock's damage, goes down into the red, gets the Intimidate off, and Drapion, maybe getting a little bit greedy, maybe just preparing for a switch, goes for the Sword Stance. So I don't know if I agree with that play, because a lot of Kres's team outspeeds Drapion, and maybe some extra damage would have been ideal, but whatever. In comes Headache with its Regenerator. It's back up to about 80%, and Earthquake comes out from the Salamence, and that is going to do enough that it is a 2-hit KO. Salamence has one more attack in it, and Headache switches out. So I don't agree with Kres's play here. Mega Me comes in the Diancie, and there's only one Pokemon that Kres has that that completely avoids Earthquake, and that's Gyarados. So if Gyarados switches in, it'll still outspeed Gyarados. So Kres could do no damage with the Earthquake and then get another attack off instead. But maybe predicting I don't know what she was predicting here, but the Mega Diancie comes in, and maybe it was just predicting that it would stay in. I don't know. The Earthquake would have done enough damage. So the Jirachi doesn't resist it, or Jirachi takes super effective damage. So does the Drapion. So does the Mega Diancie, and the Slowking can't handle it. The Crunch was a very questionable play, and it makes matters worse that the Crunch comes out, and the Mega Diancie hangs on with 1 HP. Its defense does drop, but it doesn't much matter, as the Salamence goes down to the Life Orb. And that's actually a pretty big blow to the team for Kres, because that was really one of her most dangerous Pokemon. And in comes Mama Krook. It is Choice Scarf, so the Intimidate comes out, and instead of just staying in, a Crunch is going to come out from the Crocodile, and that will take out the Mega Diancie. So Mega Diancie did its part. It didn't do a whole lot in this battle, but it is currently a 4v4, I believe. A 4v4, as Drapion comes in, and we find out here that Crocodile is indeed Choice Scarfed, because it does go for the Crunch on the Drapion, which obviously resists that. No drop in special or in defense, and the knockoff comes out, and that is going to take out the Crocodile. So we find out here that it is Choice Scarfed anyway through the knockoff, but with that being said, it is now a 4v3 situation. Rotom comes in, and switches out is the Drapion into the Leviathan just to kind of sack it off. Gyarados has done pretty much everything it needs to do for this battle. It's walled what it's needed to wall, and pretty much the Thunderbolt will come out. I guess the main threat for Kres's team was that Crocodile, so with that gone, pretty much everything can run rampant if it can take an Earthquake, because now Salamence and Crocodile both are out. But a Thunderbolt comes out from the Rotom, and we find out that this is indeed Choice Scarf. The fact that it outsped Jirachi, unless Jirachi was just very bulky. That is a clear sign that it is Choice Scarfed. And with the special attack boost and special defense boost, plus the leftovers recovery, Jirachi will be able to take one more Thunderbolt from this Rotom and be able to dish back an attack. And it takes it pretty well. A Thunderbolt comes out from the Jirachi, and the Rotom fan will go down in a heap. So it is a 2v3 situation. The Jirachi, the Drapion, and the Slowking taking on the Reuniclus and the Scizor. It's a bit of an awkward situation for Kres because the Scizor is indeed choiced and taking Stealth Rock damage, and the Reuniclus cannot really touch the Drapion. So a Bullet Punch comes out from the Scizor, taking out the Jirachi, but Kres is pretty much in a really great position because even if the Scizor does take out the Drapion, the Slowking will be close to full health, and if it's locked in, it really doesn't stand a chance. So the Reuniclus switches in, and the Slowking, instead of really doing anything here, double switches right back out. It's just a simple leftovers recovery, or regenerator recovery, and in comes Drapion. And at this point, Reuniclus can't do anything to deal with this. You can't switch out. It's pretty much checkmate. Kres has this battle pretty much on lock. Just to be safe, I don't know if I completely agree with that, but the Drapion goes for the Sword Stance. And as you can see, Kres doesn't have a way to really do much to the Drapion. A Shadow Ball comes out. If it had something that could have done super effective damage to the Drapion, then obviously that's a different story, but it didn't. And the Reuniclus is now going to take a hefty knockoff that will absolutely take that out. And it is now a 1v2, the Scizor against the Drapion and the Slowking. So Guillotine switches in one more time. It is down to about 28 HP after the Stealth Rocks. The Bullet Punch will come out because it needs to outspeed, and the Bullet Punch does enough to take out the Drapion, obviously, like I said, at his Choice Bandit. So it's a 1v1, but Slowking is up to full health because of Regenerator, and at this point, there's really nothing that Scizor can do. A Bullet Punch comes out. that does about 25% maybe, and a flamethrower in return from the Slowking will end this battle. It is a 1-0 victory for Kres Kobain and the Baltimore Blazikens. They improve to 10-1 on the season, while Kres and the Adelaide Umbreons fall to 5-6 in an absolutely phenomenal matchup. Pokemon that we did not get to see the item on is Drapion, and it had a Lumberry. That is the only thing that we really didn't find out through this battle. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Moonlight Swami. This was Game of the Week for week number 12 of Season 2 of the NPA. And I'll be talking to you guys later. Peace!